Hello,
today
Beth.
we'll
Welcome
be
to
down
sunny
under
Sydney.
How's it
thank you
today?
for having me.
Hi, I'm Paul Rushworth-Brown, host of History, Bards and Down Under interviews, and I'm here with a very interesting author, John B. Wren, who has written a very interesting novel, And Should I? Welcome to the show, John.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I must admit, after doing my research on your novel, a lot of the Gaelic words, obviously the novel's set in Ireland back in the 10th century, but a lot of the Gaelic words scare me. I mean, I'm Australian, okay? I have difficulty pronouncing English words. I don't know about Irish words. But
I'm with you.
So tell me about, how did you, I mean, you're an ex-engineer. How did you get into this?
My mother was born in Ireland, and growing up, she came over on the boat when she was about 5 years old. And her sisters, whenever I would be with them, would frequently tell stories about Ireland and the good old days and how bad the English were and how great Ireland was, and they were glad to be in America. Anyway, so there was all that in my background, and then as I would read different books or see different movies, I was intrigued by things from the Middle Ages. I don't know why it did, but it just intrigued me. When I became aware of a certain battle in Ireland, just north of Dublin, in a place called Clontarf, it occurred in the year 1014, and after that battle, the High King of Ireland was killed. His name was Brian Boru.
And Trodai is an epic historical saga that spans generations of a warrior family in 10th century Ireland. From the Viking invasion of Connaught in 893 AD to the rise of Clan MacLafer in 1042 AD, this gripping novel follows Scolai, Day, Lafair, and Connaught as they fight for their clan and the fate of Ireland. Set against real historical events, the story centres on Connaught's loyalty to Brian Boru, Ireland's legendary High King, through the Battle of Clontarf and beyond. And Trodai brings Ireland's turbulent history to life in a vivid blend of legend and reality.
There was a character who appears in history and in myth several times, whose name is given as Wolf the Quarrelsome. Wolf was the inspiration for my writing about a character, a warrior who fought for Brian Boru, and I call him Connaught. So I had to make him in some way special, but not claim to be Wolf the Quarrelsome. I leave that for people if they want to decide that's who he was, fine. So anyway, I had to give some backstory to it, and I went all the way back several generations to a Viking warrior in a raid on a village in Connaught when he rapes a young girl, and she winds up having a son.
My next question, I did some research, and apparently Irish book buyers have backed homegrown talent in 2024 with 13 of the top 20 bestsellers being Irish born. So 2024 is still shaping up to be one of the strongest years in history for Irish type books. Why is that?
I really don't know, but I would hope that people find the same things interesting that I did, and that may have inspired them to delve into those books.
Bards Sing of Love and War is a captivating historical novel set in 11th century Wales, where love, honor, and ambition clash amidst the Norman invasion. As Chief Bard Rodri mentors young Tal, the tale unfolds with political intrigue, familial loyalty, and forbidden romance, centering on Griffith Rhys's quest to reclaim his kingdom and win Gwenllian's heart. Amidst King Henry I's campaigns, and betrayals within King Gruffydd Sinan's court, a web of deception, secret marriages, and daring rescues promises to enchant fans of epic romance and adventure.
In One of Four, Travis Davis takes you on an unforgettable journey from the battle-scarred trenches of World War I to the solemn grounds of Arlington National Cemetery. Through the eyes of an unknown soldier, discovered by a young French girl and immortalized in his 100-year-old diary, this novel intertwines the harrowing experiences of the Western Front with a modern-day story of a father and son, estranged yet brought together by the soldier's legacy. As they retrace the soldier's final days, this poignant narrative reveals the unspeakable horrors of war, the enduring bonds of family, and the timeless pursuit of honor. One of Four is a compelling exploration of courage, sacrifice, and the healing power of remembrance.
Inspired you to explore this specific time?
It started with that Battle of Clontarf and it being the 1,000-year anniversary in 2014. And that led me to, it just kind of grew from there to all these different things that happened. So that I list several different battles in the book. Battle back then was face to face with a sword or an axe or a pike. And you sit back and imagine that kind of thing. Think about it. And that's what I did. I gave it serious thought. And it's really kind of scary to think about facing somebody 5 feet away or 3 feet away and then swing a sword at him and lop his head off or something like that. But that's what battle was. It was bloody. It was messy. It was terrible. And I tried to write that kind of thought into what I wrote.
You must have an amazing imagination.
Well, I can lie about anything. I have told people that I get up in the morning, have a cup of coffee, come down to my computer and start telling lies.
Yeah. Very good. So tell me about the three brothers.
Oh, at one point there are three brothers. There's Larry, Garban, and Tanai. That's the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
They are the sons of a man named Dai. Garban is a braggart. He says he's going to do wonderful things, and he tells his grandmother he's going to kill 100 people in battle. Anyway, he doesn't train well. He does not try. He doesn't work at his craft of being a warrior, and he runs off when he's too young. Joins an army led by Kennedy, and he winds up turning his back and running away and being killed. His brother Larry turns out to be a true warrior. He's large. He trains well. He works very hard at his craft. And the third brother, Tanai, is not really a warrior. He's a farmer, and he helps the cause by doing. He's providing food, and he feels like he's contributing, and he is. He's a very good man.
These three brothers, they, I mean, how did you build their sort of like character?
I don't know. I kind of thought about different people I have known in my life and what kind of high points each one of them had, and what kind of low points each one of them had. And I had to give the three brothers something totally different. So they were not like twins or triplets or whatever. Each one had their own character. So I had the first one, Garban, being the coward, the second one, Larry, being the hero, and the third one, Tanai, being, well, he likes to grow plants. He likes to grow food. So they were totally different, and each one had a place in the story.
It must have taken a hell of a lot of research to do this. But what was the hardest part of writing the book?
It seems that with several different sources providing information about the various characters, real characters, the stories are not always the same. They vary from one source to another. But I tried to follow a stream of thought that worked for that could be accurate and did not violate history.
Discover the extraordinary life of George Matcham, the man who dared to cross continents in an era of exploration and intrigue. Born in Bombay under the East India Company's watchful eye, George embarked on 3 monumental overland journeys between Asia and England. His adventures set the stage for a remarkable story, culminating in his marriage to the beloved sister of the future Lord Admiral Nelson. Through his intimate connections with Nelson and the enchanting Emma Hamilton, George's life is vividly brought to life with authentic period press clippings and eyewitness accounts. Dive into a most unsettled man for an unprecedented glimpse into the private life of an 18th century English gentleman, while experiencing the enduring love story of Nelson and Emma from a fresh and captivating perspective.
Tell me, you've mentioned the rape scene. Was that a difficult part of the book to write?
Yeah, I have 5 sisters.
Yeah.
I have a daughter. I have 2 granddaughters. And when
Yeah.
you think about all that and you write a scene like that, it's difficult.
Was there any sort of like chapter or chunks of the novel that you took out of the book, prior to the final edit, that you thought, oh no, I'll take that out, it's not needed, or didn't like?
That's a good question. And I'm trying to think back to when I took the 3. I had written Canal first, Larry second, and Scolai third. And then when I took them all down and combined them into one book, Entredai, period, it was kind of tough to do the transition from one to the other. And I had several different versions of each transition. And I threw away 2 or 3 of them and kept the one that I thought worked the best.
Some of my novels have been, copped a bit of flack because people have said that they're too descriptive. And my argument always was that, I like my readers to sort of like be in the place and in the time. And so for that reason, you need to be a little bit descriptive to basically describe the world around them and around the characters. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my first 2, the 2 novellas, one of a common thread from several different reviewers or people who read the books was that it was too brief, not sufficiently descriptive of medieval times. And my response to that is, what I tried to convey was not necessarily the conditions of life in medieval times. It was the development of that character from birth to death. And if I did not need to say, if I did not need to be very descriptive about the places where the roundhouses that they built, or the thatched roofs and the stretching racks and all that kind of stuff that they would have in their little settlement, if I didn't need to do that to make the story complete, I wouldn't put it in. Some people didn't like that. Other people would say you were too descriptive in battle scenes where heads were lopped off and arms were chopped up.
In the charming but secretive town of Wallingford Heights, 1893, 3 hairdressers and a seamstress are more than just masters of style, they're amateur sleuths. When a chilling triple murder rocks their sleepy Massachusetts town and a young suffragist is wrongfully accused, these 4 spirited women from the Vine Salon, one of America's first, must unravel a web of dark secrets. Using their keen ears for gossip and sharp minds, Estelle, Chastity, Mary Lou, and Clara dive into a thrilling mystery that intertwines the dangers of the past with the promise of a changing future.
Darlene Adams is a free-spirited woman who is beautiful, can shoot, and she doesn't break a promise. Ruthlessly ditched after being in a relationship for 20 years, Darlene takes work on a remote cattle property. 2 years later, she's out of work but retains the Queensland title of pistol champion. Now her eyes are on the national titles held in Western Australia. En route, she learns about her missing niece and takes things into her own hands.
I mean, were there any discoveries through your research that you were shocked with?
Well, as it turns out, the sides were comprised of Vikings on both sides, Irish on both sides, Norse on both sides. It was each leader, like Brian Boru or one of his opponents, they would form an army based on people that they could gather together. And in Ireland back at that time, tribes and clans would fight with each other with great regularity. On one day, they're fighting against each other. The next day, they're fighting on the same side. So that was kind of a surprise to me.
Okay, so that's where you're going, right? You're going into the next century.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at Irish history, and I find different places like the Battle of Clontarf was the inspiration for the first set, and the Norman invasion in 1169, 70, 71. That's the inspiration for what I'm working on now.
I mean, I've already said that Irish writers are extremely popular in 2024. Who's going to read this novel?
God, I hope everybody. The more, the merrier.
Yeah.
I would hope that somebody might find Irish history sufficiently interesting to make them want to read it. I would hope that people who enjoy books about battles and things of that in general would enjoy reading it. I would hope that people who like the way I have developed the several characters, I hope they would read and enjoy.
It sounds like a book for men who don't read. Would you agree with that?
I was such an animal years ago. I was an engineer, and I went through a divorce, and I was living by myself, and I needed something inexpensive to occupy my time. And somebody said, "Read a book."
How is it rewarding for you?
It certainly not financially.
No.
What I get out of it is being able to put something down in writing and have people read it and say, "I enjoyed that."
John, it's been wonderful to meet you, and thank you so much for being on the show. And Tradoy, good luck with that. And
Thank you.
And an Irish story, so should be very, very popular in 2024.
I hope it is, and I
Yeah.
hope to continue.
Yeah. So thanks very much for being on the show.
Thank you.